We're going to take a different tack in this episode of Activate. But before we get to it, we want to recommend to you an article by Dennis Birch that appeared in thenewamerican.com over the weekend. It shows the tremendous involvement of the American globalists and the Chinese communists in formulating the response of the Wuhan virus epidemic here in the United States. It shows that Dr. Anthony Fauci, the head of the Center for Disease Control, has been in bed with these people for some time. I urge that you read the article and then contact your congressman and urge them to look into it, and then urge the president to fire Fauci. He is a globalist and is using this pandemic to try and abrogate the Bill of Rights by his recommendations. He is even hinting that we will not be safe going to the polls in November. If we continue on the road to electronic or mail-in ballots, this will lead to opportunities for massive voter fraud. Please read Dennis Birch's article. Now then, we'd like to show you how you can be more effective educating others and finally bringing them into membership of the John Birch Society. The reason that this is the real solution to all of our problems in the long run. Since this segment will actually tell you how to be involved, we doubt it will not have the viewership of most of our videos. People love to watch videos and pick up information, but they rarely want to do much about it. First of all, we only want people of good character to become members of the society. So how you educate others will depend on whether you are simply trying to influence them or actually reach a point where you can ask them to become members. As you reach out to someone, find out what their interests are relative to the agenda of the John Birch Society. This is extremely important, since there are many single issues that people are passionate about, but we can't take the time to cover. Within our agenda, you will see that we focus on long-range issues that will ultimately save our republic. And I encourage you to concentrate on them. However, if you do not have to limit yourself, you don't have to limit yourself simply to these items. The important thing is to engage them on the path to becoming involved. And this may mean including their interest. Are they interested in the problems of immigration, the United Nations, China, economics, whatever they have as an interest? You will use this information in how you proceed to inform and educate them. Also, if you can, you should be working on more than one person at a time, so you should be a little more organized in your approach to be able to maximize your efforts and the time you can devote to them. There will be items that you will use of a general nature to educate them and will fit all of the people that you will be working on. Take a piece of paper and cut it down to size so that it fits comfortably in your wallet or purse. You just cut it like that, fold it up, and it just fits right in your wallet or your purse. We will tell you in a moment what it will contain. This will constitute the record of your activities. Now I will use this much larger prop to show you how I've done this over the years with good success. Across the top, list the number of items you want people to read or view or attend, and just simply jot those down across the top. And then down the left side, list the names of the people you're working on, 1 or 2 or 4 or 10, however many, but not too many. And that way you keep tabs of exactly what they have read or attended or viewed each one, so that you can at some point show them the solution to these problems and proceed. Mix the various items or tools listed between educating about the problems plus their knowledge of the John Birch Society, which in the long run is the solution. Once you've reached a point where you believe they're ready, in other words, they've progressed enough through your program, simply ask them to join. If they're ready to join, you'd better have an application blank for membership with you. That should also fit into your wallet or purse. An active person who really wants to grow membership in our society always carries a membership application with them at all times. You can ask your local coordinator for one or more, and simply call into our headquarters and ask for a few to be sent to you. The application does need to be validated by a leader in the society, a chapter leader, section leader, coordinator, that sort of thing. Let's look at some of the items you may wish to use to get your friends to read or view. First, the video Overview of America by Jack McManus, We really don't know how many millions of people have seen this particular video. We know it's well over 40 million. It is a primary tool and is the first thing that you should really start people out on, the Overview of America video. The next thing I would suggest is Republics and Democracies by Robert Welch. This has gone a long way to inform Americans what our government is supposed to be, a republic, not a democracy. I stand and pledge allegiance to the flag and the republic for which it stands, not the democracy for which it stands. There's a difference, and the American people need to know this. Also, the video series, The Constitution is the Solution, usually seen in a group setting. This enhances the knowledge of the Constitution and an appreciation of it, because the Constitution is the longest one in use on earth, and there's a reason for it. And this tells you why, as well as teaching you the very fundamentals of the Constitution in a very interesting way. Another one is The Life of John Birch by Robert Welch. They need to know the background of the man after whom Mr. Welch named the society, John Birch, the Baptist missionary to China, who was ultimately killed at the end of World War II by Chinese communists. A very fascinating story, a very inspirational story, and why this man was chosen by Robert Welch as the name of the John Birch Society. The next thing that I would suggest is the Blue Book of the John Birch Society, which is basically the minutes, if you will, of the founding meeting of the society. It goes well beyond that. The first part of it talks about the problem. These are the problems we face. The second part outlines what became the John Birch Society, the solution to these problems. It gives a wealth of understanding as to what was going on, continues to go on, and how these problems can be solved. Another one, and don't let the thickness of it scare you off. It's a very entertaining read. G. Edward Griffin, the author, holds your attention through the whole thing, and this is primarily a history of how the Federal Reserve was formed, who formed it, why they formed it, and how they started to manipulate the finances of and the economy of the American people. A great big bestseller. Another one, a lot of people don't like economics. They think, oh boy, I don't understand economics. I'll never learn anything about it. It's boring and leave me out of it. But Economics in One Lesson by Henry Hazlitt is an excellent read and really gets somebody involved in understanding economics because it's very simple. They just make it more difficult when you go to school or in the newspapers or other books and that sort of thing. Very simple thing, Economics in One Lesson. Another one is The Politician by Robert Welch. This was the original thing that started the massive smear against Robert Welch. It is the biography of President Dwight David Eisenhower. There are a lot of things about Eisenhower that people did not know, and Mr. Welch brought this information out. He was never sued for anything he said in it, and some of it was pretty provocative. They tried to get people not to read it. They did everything they could to smother this book. Very interesting documentation on not only Eisenhower, but the Republican Party. Another one is to inform people on the United Nations. And Inside the United Nations by Steve Bonta is a nice, short synopsis of the problems with the United Nations and how it is incompatible with the American system. And I guess I'm going to get a couple of my own books involved in this. And one of them is International Merger by Foreign Entanglements. This talks about the agenda of using free trade as a means to bring the United States into a new world order. It's very short, very succinct. It's not complicated. Anyone who reads this has some very good arguments as to why free trade is not really free trade. It's something quite sinister. Lastly, In the Shadows of the Deep State. What is the deep state? A lot of books are out on the deep state. The problem is they never talk about it. In this book, we do. We identify who the deep state is and the individuals involved and what they're doing in the United States. And then finally, in addition to these things, as a means of getting people to closer to becoming activists and members of the John Birch Society, even put events sponsored by the John Birch Society along here, like speakers. group video showings, and that sort of thing. In this manner, they can get to see the caliber of our members and get comfortable being around strangers if you attend with them. Pick them up, go with them. Have coffee and pie afterwards. Talk over what you saw at the meetings and so on and so forth. Now, these are over 10 items, so you do not need to use all of them and serve only as examples. You decide which tools that we have to educate people that you will be comfortable with. And of course, it's obvious you'd better be familiar with them if you're going to recommend them. In other words, read them. The last thing to do, if you have a coordinator in the area, is to schedule to have them attend a formal presentation on the John Birch Society. Now, this list is not in concrete. You may go to shopjbs.org and see what is available that you feel comfortable with, but keep it basic. I guarantee that if you use this system, and it will take a little time to develop its success, you yourself will be adding a new member a month into your local chapter. Bring organization into your recruiting and you will find success. Some people you will be contacting will not need this extensive a program, but at some time they should be reading and viewing several of these basic educational tools. If they're ready, ask them to join at any point. Lastly, get them to sign up for the top daily headlines in the New American website. In this manner, they will receive 5 articles every weekday to keep them informed on the latest issues. Simply have them go to thenewamerican.com. At the website, on the upper right-hand corner, will be a sign that says, "Sign up today, free top daily headlines," and they can sign up there. And let them know that we will never use their name or web address for any other purpose. We hope these tips help you convince others to get involved and activated. We bring these suggestions to you because we mean business every step of the way. We don't just talk about the problems, we want solutions, which means organizing and activating others.